fine. Might actually be better that way. The only problem is that I can't see any comments like I could through Google Plus. So if you guys have any comments, I guess put them on YouTube, on the YouTube comments, or hopefully this might work at some point. Trying to get it to load somehow on Google Plus right now. I thought it would work. I thought it'd be a lot easier than this, but apparently it's not. So if you guys are watching, you can comment, I guess on Twitter if you at reply us or at reply Korean Indie. I'll see it. I have my notifications up. Probably not the Facebook because I can't see anything. It doesn't load in real time, which is kind of annoying. But that is Facebook. Apologies if you hear this, but I want to test one thing real quick. Excuse me. And if you miss the stream when it's going on now, from whatever the errors are, apologize for that. Pretty annoying. But it'll be on YouTube probably. I'll probably have to edit a good portion of it out just because there is a lot of nothing going on in the beginning. So sorry about that. I'm just trying to get one more verification that everything's working. If you guys can hear it on Facebook, or I mean on YouTube, and if you guys want to make a comment so I can see it, that would be really helpful so we can get started. I guess 45 minutes late, which is a bit annoying. But I'm not getting the response I need because he probably walked away. But so let's just get started. So I guess a couple months back, a lot of changes on the site. It became, when I was going through analytics for the site, I saw a lot more. It's not beer, just so you know. It's energy drink. I saw a lot of traffic from more than just the U.S. and more than South Korea, which I guess were the two places I thought people would read the site the most, those two places. And I saw a lot from Southeast Asia. I saw a lot from Europe, which kind of surprised me a lot because we never really kind of put it out there like that, that people would want to see the site from Europe and other places in the U.S. or other places in the world. So I had the decision to make to either continue it as a blog and just kind of write reviews and interviews here and there. And that was actually very tempting because it's much easier to just do reviews, some music, or some news or video here and there. And then I decided, because we were getting so much traffic from everywhere in the world, why not try to make it something kind of bigger than that? And then that way, I had to look at how that would happen, how that would work with the U.S., us being in the U.S., bands being in Korea, and how we go about kind of selling things. Because that was one of the big concerns is, how do you keep a site like Korean Indie sustainable, because it is becoming something different. It's not a blog, it's not anything at this point. It's just kind of a content barrel. And I looked into it. I started asking some friends. I got a lot of actual really helpful stuff from some bloggers online whose day jobs were different. and they kind of pointed me into the direction and answered my questions about what we could do. And the end result was actually ended up being the site can become a company. It can be a company of some sort where we have, the same legal requirements that other companies do, um, like pay taxes and, uh, have money to support the site and stuff like that. So that in itself was its own undertaking, and that process I think took about 2 or 3 months to get where we are now. So it's been in the process. I've kind of hinted at it here and there on Facebook and possibly Twitter. I don't really remember if I did Twitter or not. But um, sorry, I'm just moving Twitter so I can see it better. So if you guys have any questions or anything, you can just @reply us or @mention us on Twitter if you're watching, or if you want to. I think if you leave a comment, I can see it, but I'm not sure. It's kind of janky right now. But anyway, to get back to what I was talking about, so the initial cost of starting or transitioning KoreanIndie.com to a company was a lot of money, a lot more than I actually had. And now we're in the process of finalizing all that. We have a company. If you guys looked at the Facebook, you saw the post I made that we're officially an LLC in California, which is good. But then just being a company doesn't mean you can sell anything. So I needed to get a business license, which is in the process of working itself through. There are other things that are required in California to sell merchandise, which is why I haven't really mentioned anything about the store other than we're going to have a store. If you didn't know, we're going to start selling merch, Korean indie stuff first. Hopefully it expands into something bigger. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. I go to Korea once a year, hang out in Hongdae, and kind of hang out with bands and stuff. So hopefully I can transition some of those friendships into helping those bands get their music uh, outside of Korea. There's already distribution in Korea, which is I think pretty good in general. A lot of bands use digital distribution, which is also good. It's good for international fans. The problem is a lot of bands don't know how to do it themselves, and a lot of bands don't have labels, so they always do everything themselves. And so now that means I want to try to help these bands get their music out into the hands of international fans wherever they are. Obviously, digital downloads are the easiest because you just put them in one place and then you can download them. I'm not particularly fond of iTunes, not because of the platform, but because of the fact that you need an iTunes account. You need usually you'll probably have some kind of iOS device, iPhone, iPod Touch, or iPad, listen to music. But it's just I don't like having to go to a program. My preferable place is Bandcamp. Has been for a while. A lot of electronic musicians use Bandcamp, which is really nice. More bands are starting to release on Bandcamp, and it's mainly the place where I find all my music now. Actually, through Bandcamp, it's a lot easier to find weird stuff that you might not notice before. We're planning on having Korean Indie Bandcamp at this point. I'm not sure when it'll actually launch. A lot of stuff I have to do before I can officially even start one, but that's one plan. The store itself will sell, if you guys have seen some of the pictures I've posted, actually the merch is coming tomorrow to get delivered. I thought it was 79 pounds, but it's actually 79 plus I think another 30, so I'm looking at about around 109 pounds of merch. Overall, it's about 330 pieces, I think, when I last counted. And this includes like a lot more than just t-shirts. Well, there are t-shirts. So there's a women's tee, there's a men's tee. Sorry, looking at my phone. With the buttons. Um, there's a men's tee, there's a women's tee, which was asked by one reader, which I never thought about that, and I was totally fine with, trying to get that for people if they wanted to use it. Um, because I know we have a lot of, we actually, our demographics are actually more female than male, which, it's just something you find out through readership. So female tee, we have a unisex tank, which is going to have a really obscenely large logo on it. So if you really want one, I suggest you buy one. We have the hoodie, which will be pretty cool, I think. From the proofs I got earlier in the week, I think Monday, I got the proofs for them, and they printed already. I really like the work that the company we did. If you ever saw the first round of shirts we got, it's from the same company called Custom Ink. They're really, really fast, really good. Get really good deals on shirts, kind of really custom stuff. And so now we have that, and then we have kind of going into the limited edition tees, which is something different that I thought of doing. You might have also seen the shirt "Support Your International Korean Band," which was kind of a really bizarre statement I thought of would be really funny because most people um, don't actually, everyone says support your local scene, but if you're trying to support a Korean band, usually they're not anywhere near you. So I thought that was kind of a funny thing to say. And that's going to be limited edition. I think I got it in every size, but I don't think it's going to get printed um, again after this first round. It's not that shirt. Not to say it wasn't expensive to print, but I think keeping in line with having an exclusive shirt, we shouldn't print it again. Maybe really far down the line, we might print it again if it's really popular. I'd like to get it in the hands of some bands actually, because I think it'd be really ironic in a way for them to wear it in Korea. And then we have the tote, which is just a standard tote that I thought would look good with the circle logo, which is our official logo that we always use. You guys probably have seen it many times. Let me see. Hold on, guys. I'm getting friends wanting to bother me on Google Chat because they want to watch me make a fool of myself. Okay. Yeah, so we have the tote, which I think is going to be really nice. Standard canvas tote, really simple, and probably really good for groceries or whatnot. And then we have the stickers, which you've probably seen a lot of. Just a simple one. Printed a lot of these, and I like the quality of them. Once you run out of these, I'm probably always gonna have these at some point, just because everyone likes stickers and they're really easy to put on, whatever you want. The other thing we have is the button, which came in last week, I think. Really small, sorry. I'm trying to get it to show, but everything is backwards on my hand. You see that? It's probably about the size, little bit smaller than a quarter. I think the ones I bought were 1 inch. I got a bunch of those, but I probably need to order more just because they are. Just because buttons really go really fast and it's easy to give them out. And then also people who help us do stuff with the site. Like I had a bunch of people kind of help test the site or the store. I sent them buttons today actually, just because I needed to test the site. I needed to make sure that people could go through each step and check out, and have an easy experience. Since e-commerce stuff is not something I'm very used to, um, but now that's the first run of what we have in the store. We're gonna have something very special also in the store that has been planned for actually since March, and that's really limited. So once the store opens, if you want one of those things that we put up, and I will warn you guys if you want to get it, warn you what it is. I'm not doing any pre-orders for it. It's like first come first serve. It's just to really test this viability of us having the store, and if it's a success, then we can do more stuff. Rita suggested that she wanted to ask if readers could design stuff, and I have no problem with that. If readers want to design stuff for us, there are some legal things to go over, but overall, I don't mind. The site is as much as what you guys help with, and the fact that you guys read the site is really led to this decision of jumping into becoming more than just a blog. um, yeah. So after the store launches, which will be in August, as I said before, online, I'm not sure what the next general step will be. I've had a plan to do a documentary about Korean bands, Korean indie music. I've thought about crowdfunding for it. I've thought about a lot of different ways of kind of trying to get this project made. I would like to do it through easier means than crowdfunding. I think crowdfunding is a good tool. I don't know if it worked for us, especially for me to do it. But I would like to have like a really good landscape of what kind of music is in Korea now. I think a lot of bands get kind of singled out if they come to the U.S., which is, it's great for them. They get press in the U.S. But at the same time, there are a lot of other bands that can't come to the U.S. either usually because of money, or usually because of language problems, or they don't know how to schedule a tour. And I found out even that I couldn't even do that without a proper license, which is difficult to begin with. But so now the documentary is one of the long-term projects that I have. The next other project is to sorry. The next project I have is to have another T-shirt, a limited edition T-shirt. I'm not sure what the design will be yet. It's something I want to kind of keep putting out new T-shirts, something to keep people kind of interested in what we do. If I can get the legal processes worked out, we can have a contest for readers to design a new T-shirt for us. Everything kind of runs through what I think is the right path. And since this is kind of a new thing for me, I'm not going to say that I know all the right steps. I don't know how things are going to pan out for some things. I imagine some things won't work, and that's fine. Just kind of trying to learn as I go with this whole kind of new project. Let me see what else is there to update you guys on. Sorry, getting a little sick, so of course I'm drinking an energy drink, which doesn't do anything for me. So let's see. We have the store. We have a new project for the documentary. I think that's pretty much it for right now for what's kind of going on with the site up to now. Once the business side of things are taken care of, we can launch the store. If you guys want to actually go see the store, there's a very early version of it. Don't take it as once you see it, you'll understand. But don't take it as like that's going to be the final version of it. We're still working on it. I was working on the functionality of everything first, before the visuals. But it's very simple. It's a store.koreanindie.com. I won't put a link on the main site until it's ready to get launched, but you can look at the site now. I can put it in our Facebook if you want to look at it later. And then, one thing I did want to do is, so Korean Indie is not just me at this point. I guess I'm the owner and the one who runs runs things overall, but there are 4 other writers for the site. There is Christian, who kind of writes more about kind of hip hop and R&B titles. There is Missy, who is a writer who writes kind of about everything. Right now, she has to do a project about kind of more Korean American artists, and I was fine with that because I had a kind of a thought and discussion with myself about, what scope does Korean indie involve? Does it involve just bands in Korea? And I decided that while I don't have the time to do it myself. I don't have a problem with her exploring the different bands in the U.S. Right now, it's the U.S. because that's kind of the easiest place to get information from bands and stuff. I don't know if she'll want to expand into other places like Europe or whatnot. The project is all up to her. Like, I'm not putting any stipulations on anything that's going on because I don't think it's really my place if she wants to do that kind of thing. Oh, one second. Oh, sorry. Reading a comment really quick. So that's the other project that she's doing. We have 2 newer writers who've been with the site for about, I think, a month or so now, a little over a month. One is Rachel, who had contacted me during one of the open writer calls I had. And she kind of writes about, I guess, about everything, which is kind of nice. And then we have Ethan, who also kind of writes about everything, who are kind of newer with, I guess, writing about Korean music. I know Rachel wrote before. I read some of her stuff when she applied. But, we have a team of 4 writers, and there's me who does a lot of random things. And so that's the team right now. Hopefully we can expand it. Hopefully, as things grow, we can get more people or get more kind of content or different things, maybe do more videos. I personally don't really like doing live videos like this. I've never done this before. Well, I did one for work, and that was kind of awkward too. I make videos, which is kind of interesting. Not very well, but it's a learning process. But who knows? Our writers are across the U.S., so if there's a tour or whatnot, get them to go and meet musicians in their bands and stuff. So it's one of those kind of planned things in the future. So I guess that's pretty much it for an update. I did ask people if they had any questions they wanted me to answer, and I think I have 3, which isn't that many, but it'll be fine because there's probably a lot to explain with these. The first one is, besides South by Southwest, are there any major annual music events or festivals, organized ones, in North America where we can expect to see Korean indie bands? So this is a kind of difficult question to address because, like I said before, bands have difficulty coming to the U.S. to play. They have difficulty going anywhere because of money, pretty much. A lot of bands don't have labels, or if you have labels, labels are small. They're not CJ, they're not SM, they're not YG, they're not JYP. Well, he's not doing well, but in general, they're not. These labels don't have the funds to support international touring like that, especially it's just, if you try to convince a label to send someone to the U.S., what's the possibility of the return? They spend a ticket from Korea to the U.S. is more expensive than a ticket from the U.S. to Korea, and so it's one of those things where they have to really decide if it's worth it. I know that a lot of bands get grants from the government to come out and play shows. There's also TFSB who does Soulsonic. I think this was their third year doing it. And if you kind of followed the tour this spring, you saw that there are a lot of problems. The last two shows in the Northeast got canceled because of visa problems. And that was because there was a lot of timing-based issues with the visas for Korean bands this time. So they couldn't get visas for shows outside of festivals, basically. So they could play festivals like South by is a festival. CamFest, which was in San Francisco, was a festival. So those were easier to get, but they still were having problems, and that led to the kind of the delay where if you kind of kept up with Soulsonic at all, you might have seen that they're coming back this fall. Right now, I know they've announced San Francisco and New York for Culture Collide. So it's right now the announced ones are the same bands that went for Soulsonic in the spring. So it's Love Stereo, it's um, Rock and Roll Radio. Uh, let's see, Rock and Roll Radio, Big Pony, Blend Check. I think that's it. I might be missing one. No, I think that's it. Yeah. So that tour, um, and Christian is telling me uh, that Asian Music Festival and Brand New Music and Illionaire, New York City. The thing I would say about maybe I don't know much about Asian Music Festival. There is the festival that's in Canada also, but the Brand New Music and the Illionaire tour, I don't know if I'd call them real tours because they're just kind of stops in big metropolitan areas. Um, and that's something, you know, I don't know much about the hip hop world in business sense, but I don't know if that necessarily is for promotion of bands, or they're just, touring because they can tour. I would tour if I could tour, It's kind of one of those things. It's great for fans, obviously, but, when you call a tour three stops, it's not really a tour. It's kind of just a here and there kind of incident. So if you're not anywhere near those places, you can't ever see them. Um, but with the Soul Sonic coming in the fall, there's also from the airport, who you might have heard from the site. I found them on Bandcamp really early on. They're a really good band, and I'm kind of really happy that they're coming. Um, I've been told there might be a couple more bands. I'm not sure who they are or anything like that. I don't know any of the details, but I just know that there might be a couple more bands coming for the fall tour. There's also supposed to be more dates. I know they're going to try to hit New York this time. That's one of their goals because they couldn't hit it last time. I don't know where else they might try to go, but I know they're planning a lot for this round for the tour to try to make up for the spring. So that's that. Let's see what else we got. um, now I'm getting more questions, so I'm going to open uh, Google Sheets. I don't know. Sorry. I have it on my desktop, but on my laptop, but it's hard to see when people are sending comments or questions while I'm trying to talk. Okay. Second. Should have got my tablet. Okay. We have a question from Ekram. Sorry if I said your name wrong. From Virginia. His question is there an artist you hope international fans would start to support or support more? And what would your ultimate Korean indie festival lineup be? Um, a band that I wish international fans would support more. Um, all of them, actually. There's not really any one band that I think deserves attention more than another one. I wish there's a way for fans internationally to be able to support these bands when they did stuff. Like 24 Hours recently opened a Tumblebug, which is their crowdfunding, I guess their Kickstarter Indiegogo for a new EP, but it requires kind of a lot of steps, and it's all in Korean, so it's not easy for an international person to necessarily donate. Like I'd like it to be possible for people to be able to donate internationally to these bands if they want to do something. Love X Stereo did a I forget they did. I think it's You Can Funding is another one where I asked the lead singer Annie about is it possible to do PayPal, and still do the prizes or I guess the prizes or whatever they're called, because I knew fans internationally would probably uh, donate if they could. So they opened a PayPal for that, and I think it's something that these crowdfunding sites need to realize is that international fans are willing to donate if they can. I know there are issues with how people do merchandise or transactions through the internet in Korea. I know it's like you're required to have Internet Explorer, which is kind of disappointing because it's one of the most annoying browsers in the world. But I know it's some kind of ActiveX requirement. And I know I've heard there's ways around it, but I also know there are problems with it. But that's not anything I would really know how to fix. Um, but the one band now that's kind of been sticking out. Let me see if I can find it. I have my music open right now. A lot of lately electronic music is what I've been listening to. Young, Gifted, and Whack is a really good label. Has a lot of good music. I think it was 75A was the last thing I listened to by them, which is a collaboration between two artists. There's Kong Vu, really good, kind of weird music. I don't know if everyone likes electronic overall, but that's really good. Oh Hee Jung, really good. Just going through my music right now. Sorry. Ludistello, always like listening to Ludistello. There's another one I'm trying to find. Listening to Sugar Donut again lately. Old pop punk band. Kernel Strip's really good. Kirara is really good. Um, in general, just a lot of Korean music, Korean electronic music is something I've been listening to a lot because it's something I've never explored too much, and now I am. And they're the ones who release the most music on Bandcamp right now, so that's why I keep up with them. It's a lot easier. I guess the other question was what would be my ultimate Korean indie festival lineup. Ultimately, it would be Donna Whale, which was the band that got me into Korean indie music, who I don't think they exist anymore. The guitarist is now part of Mob Dive. I don't know where anyone else is at all. Apollo 18, who I've seen once or twice, is also very, very good live. Yellow Monsters, obviously, is one of my favorite bands. I don't know. It'd be really hard to have a lineup of what I wanted because it would be like 2 weeks worth of music every day. Um, so I can't really say who my favorites would be, but you know, kind of all over the place music wise. So I don't know who would want to attend if I was in charge of a music festival. I don't think anyone would attend because they'd think I was crazy. Just like shows so much weird stuff. Um, okay. What is your dream through the Korean indie site? It's from Seoul by Yong, I guess. Um, well, my dream is to be able to support bands, whatever they want to do. Um, I've been told Love Exterior is one I missed uh, by Christian, who's sending me messages through Google Talk. Um, Ideally, if we could make the money for it or be able to have an impact in that way, it would be to actually um, support a band directly to help them produce a record. I'd love to have Korean Indie as a producer. Not even like saying, oh yeah, we did this or we did that or we forced them to record at this studio or whatever. Just being able to give them the money to make an album, make a EP, do something with it. I'd love to be able to support a tour in the U.S. Or at least help plan one. Um, just any way we could get bands out of Korea into other places. Jump and I right now is doing this huge European tour, which is amazing because um, everything they post online is just great. The response that they're getting is great, and that's wonderful. With Jump and I though, it's like they're one side of Korean music, and people who should appreciate their music, obviously, but when you compare them to anyone else, it's like there's nothing like them, but there's so many other different bands, and so I hope they impress people enough that people are willing to go search for more music. That's one of the most important things. But yeah, other than the documentary plans, it would be to make an impact on a band or help a band, raise money to record and make music so it could get released somewhere. Um, that's the ultimate goal. If that's going to happen, probably not anytime soon, realistically, but at least, that's what I want. I don't need to necessarily make Korean indie a full-time job. It's not. I have a full-time job after when I beyond all this. I do all this after hours when I get home. But the potential of that is pretty huge. And the way it's going to work is it's not through me. It's through every reader, or it's through people who are willing to help these bands. I know everyone works. Everyone has things they have to do. Everyone have bills they have to pay. I'm in the same boat as you. But if you can get to that level, that would be wonderful. Um, Not sure when it's going to happen. Hopefully it could happen in the next year or so, and that would be great. But I'm not going to say in 6 months we're going to have the money and give a band money to produce an EP. It's just not, it's not realistic, and I can't even imagine that happening. If it does, that would be amazing, but I don't imagine it happening. Um, so yeah. Um, so the next comment: it is difficult for Korean bands to travel around the world, and most bands are still indie. Thank you for showing us more than underground. Oh, I guess I guess this person is not native to English, which is fine. Basically showing the underground scene of music. Thank you. Thank you for reading the site to begin with. Um, this one person from Mexico City listens to Love Exterior, and they want more girl bands. Girl bands, girl bands. There are a lot of girl bands. I don't necessarily know if you mean girl-fronted bands, which Love Exterior is. There's Sweet Revenge, which is more pop punk. There is um, Veins, which is a really good band. There's, I think, Sumi is also fronted by females. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through music right now. It's the easiest way I can find out or not. Um, there's a new. I guess they're new. I've only seen their video. It was called Sugimoto Ladyland. Her name is Yumi Kwak. She had an EP out a couple years back. I guess she has a new band, which is an excellent song. I really like the song a lot. Same name. Mimi Sisters is also one who came back. Storyteller from Christian. That's true. Um, let's see. I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm just looking through my list of music. Um, Super 8-Bit is one, though I haven't heard anything from them in a while. Um, Sabina and Drones, Smacks Off is also one. Wasted Johnny's is also one. Nia, I haven't heard anything from in a while. Huckleberry Finn, it's kind of funded by, I guess, it's funded by a woman. Jowden, Deer Cloud, um, is also one. I think Mood Salon might be. Oh, Look and Listen, a really good punk band, also funded by females. Um, Juk Juk Runzi, Runzi. I don't know. I say it wrong all the time. It's Juk Juk is what I usually refer to them by. Really good band. Let's see. I think I have a video of them on our Crindy YouTube. If you go back to April, I have a bunch of videos, a couple of videos from them. Because I went and finally saw them live for once after knowing them for I think 2 years, knowing about them. Um, I think. Oh, Amu Band, another one. Siberian Husky from Christian. There's a lot, it's kind of hard to go through the list like that. Uh, it's just one of those things. I would say, well, I never tagged anything female or female vocals or anything like that, so I wouldn't necessarily. Um, sorry, sorry, I'm getting too close to the camera. I'm looking at a comment. Uh, I wouldn't know kind of how many there are. There are probably more I don't even know about. This is the nature of Korean music. I usually miss a lot of bands, and I find them later on. Sometimes after a year or so. Um, Question from Angie from Mexico City: Why do so much? I guess why does so much indie music have propaganda in it in Korea? One thing I would say about that is it might sound really bad. My background is in music is as a drummer, so I don't necessarily always um, listen to lyrics. Actually, I don't listen to lyrics, especially Korean music. I actually don't understand Korean that well. I'll admit it's horrible of me being Korean. I grew up in the U.S. I didn't really need Korean that much. I actually learned more Korean in the past 3 years than I did my entire life. And I took Korean in college, not very well. Had a really horrible teacher. No, not horrible as in bad, but horrible as in scared the crap out of me. Um, but in terms of propaganda, I don't know. I don't know if you can respond really quickly. I don't really understand what you mean by propaganda. Um, I don't necessarily think, in a way, there is propaganda. I don't. That question's kind of vague. We're talking about imagery. I wouldn't even know because where to even kind of reference that. Not trying to dismiss your question. I just don't necessarily understand what you're asking. So I apologize for that. Let's see. I saw something flash on Twitter. If you guys keep having questions, I'll keep answering them for a while. I don't have anything to do. I have a sad life. Sad life with only Korean indie and my girlfriend and her dog. Um, let's see. I don't even know where people are watching from. It's kind of sad. Okay. So this is from Rachel, who actually thinks it's the Rachel that writes for us, which is kind of sneaky. Let me see. What type of things would you hope the documentary project to achieve? Which bands would you like to focus on? The documentary project, I did one that you can see that's really, really bad, called In Hongdae, Indie Bands in Seoul. I did it kind of as a test to see if I could do something. Uh, it was 3 parts. I think it was about 30 minutes, a little less than 30 minutes overall. It was just kind of an introduction to kind of Korean music for people if they've never heard it before. And it was also my first time ever making a video, which I used iMovie because it was free and my girlfriend has a nice computer. Um, Much more powerful than anything I have. And it was just an introduction. Like I went to Seoul, I actually met a lot of bands. When I went there, it was also, I believe it was when I met Yellow Monsters for the second time because they came for Soul Sonic one year and I met them and was able to hang out with them because they had to come back to. Usually from LA they go back to Seoul, but this time they actually had to come back to San Francisco because they had some delay in their flight, so they had 2 days to waste. And the tour manager actually called me and was like, "Can you find a hotel for 30 people?" And I was like, "What? Like how am I supposed to find that?" He's like, "Well, can you just look and call and let me know?" And I was like, "All right." So I called a place um, that was near the airport, San Francisco airport, which is actually not anywhere near San Francisco. So if people tell you it's right near the city, they're lying. It's probably about 25 minutes away, something like that. It's pretty bad in traffic. Anyway, um, and so that they're leaving on a Tuesday, so that Monday I took off, hung out with them, hung out with Yellow Monsters, Crying Nut, a little bit of Third Eye Butterfly. They were actually pretty intimidating to me, just overall. And I got to know them pretty well. At least Yellow Monsters and Crying Nut. There's some pictures that one can't ever see the light of day, but they're pretty amazing. And apparently Guinness is really expensive in Korea. I don't drink Guinness at all, but it's really expensive in Korea. But it's really cheap here, so they love Guinness. So if you ever see a Korean band, a safe bet might be to get them Guinness. They'll probably like it. But after that, I went to Korea that fall, and I had the chance. And so Yellow Monster just like kind of showed me around, introduced me to a lot of people. The drummer especially, Jaeuk, he showed me a lot of the music side of Korea I would never have met before. He introduced me actually to 24 Hours, introduced the band to me, introduced me to Monkeys, who are a band I really like watching live. Really funny. The last time I was in Korea, actually, Yellow Monsters were recording their new album, so I was kind of watching it. And then I heard the vocalist of Monkeys, whose name I forget offhand right now, but they're actually recording there too, which is really funny, at the same studio. So I got to see them a little bit. Um, but that whole project was kind of a test to see what could be done in Korea, what could be done within a short amount of time, that was recorded over 2 weekends, I think, because the shows usually happen from Friday to Sunday, the main shows. There are shows during the week, but they're usually not as big, and at different venues, not in Hongdae, or not in the general area of the clubs of Hongdae that I know of. I think there's a lot more clubs now than when the last time I was there, but um, so that test, and you can actually watch it online. It's pretty bad. It's still on our YouTube, and I probably won't take it down for a while, or if ever. It's just a good memory of how long it took me to record it, how long it took me to edit it, and just the experience of making it was really good. So the hope now for the documentary, sorry, there's a long tangent, is to highlight the different kind of genres, I guess, more so now, because now like rock, I kind of know a lot of bands. Korean electronic music, I don't know a lot of bands, or I know bands, but I think I can do better, and I think there's a lot more that I'm missing. Um, Also, want to do something on Korean hip hop, which I think is really big, really interesting to hear. And they're doing a lot of interesting things, I think, with their music. Its compilation album was really good lately, or the last one they did. One second, I got another question. Um, so that side, the Korean hip hop side, is really important because I think it's something that's kind of getting touched on in media in general. But I think, obviously, you have someone who knows a little bit more than the general stuff you see online of like this new band or this new artist called Doki or Verbal Jint. It's like these guys have been around for a long time. Like, don't treat them like they're brand new because they're not. Like, they might be brand new to your readers, but they're not brand new to people who know about them. So don't treat them as such. Which is what happens with when band comes out or bands come out for soft buys too. It's like you look at all the news that comes out and it's like you or move over K-pop. It's now Korean indie music. It's like you guys need to shut the hell up. Like, this music's been around. These bands are doing their thing. Obviously, it benefits those Korean bands for their visa requirements, but at the same time, they've been doing this music for a long time. They do it for themselves at first, and they want to show other people. Don't treat them like commodities, which is kind of what's been happening. Um, Even when we get asked, or I get asked for interviews for kind of around South by or tours, like, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good, introduce people to bands I might not have talked to before. But I don't really, I don't want to leave at that line like K-pop, then Korean independent music because it's a horrible comparison. Obviously you can get a lot of page views and SEO out of K-pop, but don't treat bands like that. Like, I think it's a disservice for what they're doing. They're coming out, especially when you kind of read all the people who go to these shows and say like, "Oh, this was amazing!" Like, I think Hollow Jan at South by this year, like, surprised so many people with their music. You should never start Hollow Jan and K-pop. It doesn't make any sense. So it's a bit of a rant on my part, just my opinion. Um, but I guess the second part was what bands would I focus on. I don't know. It kind of depends on what people are doing. Some bands, a lot of musicians there have day jobs and they work all the time and they only play on weekends. So one of my coworkers said like, why don't you follow a musician for a day if they have a job and see what they do? And I was like, that's really interesting. Would be interesting to do and it would be fun to do. Since the idea for the documentary is kind of far off, I don't know what kind of story I want to tell or what kind of message I want to show. Not message like it was a moral or anything, but just what kind of story I want to present to people if they're um, watching this kind of thing. I don't want them to be bored watching someone uh, in these kind of situations, but I don't know. I think bands are kind of people I know, people I don't know. I would really like to be organic enough where I could go to a band and be like, oh, we're gonna sit down, talk with them, have an interview of some sort, and then ask them, oh, who should I talk to next, and they send me somewhere. So I think it'd be much more organic and much more interesting that way. I don't know if that would work given the time restraints. I have a feeling that if I really wanted to do a real documentary, I'd have to be in Seoul for like a month. Um, and not even just Seoul, but I know Busan's kind of growing in itself as a place where there's tons of music, so I think that's really good too. And I don't know much about the scene down there. I can ask people I know in bands, but who knows? Like, who knows what's going on? Because I've never been there. I want to go at some point, but um, you know, it's just one of those things that I have to think about what the viability of the idea is. I had a question from a friend. Um, this one is about the unsigned band project. So the unsigned band project, it's not entirely. Sorry, I'm just making sure this is updated. The unsigned band project is pretty simple. So a lot of I've talked to some bands about using Bandcamp because I think it's a better system. I don't know. There's a difference in price for sales. You know, iTunes takes 30%. Um, Bandcamp also takes a percentage, and then you have PayPal, which is its transaction system. So my idea was to ask unsigned bands because I don't want to deal with distribution rights because that's such a huge thing I don't know about, and I don't want to step on anyone's heels about they already have distribution rights for music. And if you're unsigned, it's much easier. Obviously, you don't have a contract with any label or anything. I wanted to present their music to readers, give them a way to support a band that doesn't have the backing of anyone, who does everything themselves. And even at this point, if it was just a demo, I thought it'd be interesting. Interesting way to actually just help them raise money. Help them raise money for their next EP or their or full length or something. And that's all it was. It's not anything huge or in depth idea. It's just giving them a way that they can have music out in the public where I can take care of, or Community can take care of the payment side of it, and then just give them the money that they've earned from it so that they can make new music, or they can, maybe they need equipment or something. Maybe they need new strings or new drum heads, or maybe they make enough money to get a bit new instrument or something. I don't know. I don't know the potential of it or the exact potential of how big it could be, but I think it's different, because if you go on Bandcamp, there's so many artists and musicians who release music. The tagging system on Bandcamp is not the best. I'll be the first to admit that. And a lot of people kind of they abuse the tagging system. So you get a lot of stuff that's not even remotely related to what you're trying to watch. So I think us having our own place where we could help facilitate sales for bands would be a really good tool, so these bands could make some money that they might not be able to make in Korea. Because if you even when you play live, I don't think you make a lot of money, or if any. Some bands I think play just because they have a place to play, but they don't make any money off of it. Um, so that's kind of the whole Bandcamp project. It's not very complex of an idea. It's just trying to get it started and finding bands that are willing to take the chance with us to try to do it. Because I know that there's a lot of stories of labels and stuff who've kind of done shady things, and I don't know if Korean Indie will ever get to that point where we could be a label. I don't know if I wanted that much responsibility, but um, if it goes in that direction, then if it works out that way, it works out that way. Like I'm not going to limit what the site can do. If it becomes a subsid of a label, that would be cool too. I'm just not too concerned about it right now. I guess you could say, one step at a time. The store has to launch. The what is it? What else has to launch? Bandcamp will have to launch at some point, but that's all after the business license and the other business stuff I have to do. And then, if the store is sustainable and I can keep ordering merch to sell, and hopefully it can expand to other things that I can sell in the store that aren't necessarily branded for us. Maybe they're from bands. Also be cool. I don't know if that's going to happen, but, working on it. Um, maybe we can have more projects, more different things, bring more people on. The 4 writers we have now, um, they do it as a volunteer work. It's a volunteer. There's this company, as even though it's a company, we're not like even remotely profitable. There's no money coming in. necessarily. There's a lot of money going out, a lot of my money going out, but we'll all have to start somewhere with the company, and working in small steps and doing what we have to do. I appreciate their work immensely. They let me sit around at least once a week as opposed to me working on the site 6 days a week. You notice our schedule is Sunday to Thursday. That's because we also mirror kind of Korea, because Thursday in pretty much Thursday in the U.S. is Friday in Korea, and so it's kind of a Monday to Friday for them. Also, a lot of the videos that people take come out over the weekend, which is a lot easier for me. But maybe we'll do another when the store launches. I'll try to get more writers. I don't know. I've tried getting writers many times, and it doesn't always work out. I'm not. That's just the way it is. It's the way it is with people have lives, and I understand that. I have a life in some way outside the site, other than work. But I want to make Korean into something that I can be proud of, but I want it to last beyond my participation. Like if I leave, I want someone else to be able to take over and keep the site alive. Keep everything going on. I don't imagine I will leave the site anytime soon, but the hope that it becomes something that can affect a lot of bands and a lot of people around the world would be excellent. It's the start of something new. It's only been 3 months, I think, since I started the whole process of becoming a business. So everything's moving slowly and fast at the same time. The merch gets here tomorrow. 100 pounds of merch, I guess. And then once the store launches, that stuff goes on sale, and then it's out of my hands. If we can recoup everything and continue to get new merch and everything kind of works the way I hope it works, who knows what we'll be next spring. Maybe we can totally have a project ready to go, or support a band entirely to record an EP. It would be cool if we could do a crowdfunding for a band, and everyone who donated got their name in the liner notes. I don't even know if that's going to happen. It's the start of something new. I guess, at this point, kind of gone over everything. I don't see any more questions from anyone. Nothing on Twitter. I don't think there's anything on YouTube. There's nothing on Google Sheets. So, if you guys have anything else, the email is on all the sites. If you want to email us or email me, I monitor most everything. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I don't know if we'll do this again. Honestly, I had such a hard time with technical stuff, switching a laptop from what I thought would be the better one. But so I guess, if we do another one, maybe we'll try to do something with another writer. Maybe another writer will try to take the reins and answer questions. It'd be really cool to have a writer. Have a writer talk about the site. One sec. This thing's been walking around for a while, so I thought you guys. I know Christian wants to see her a lot, but this is new. And she bothers me when I write a lot. Alright, well, I thank you guys for watching. I guess this will be on YouTube after I edit it a little bit. Get rid of a lot of the intro, but keep reading the site. Keep an eye out on our social network stuff. Keep updating it every day. And you know, when the store actually launches, maybe we'll do another one. Maybe we'll have coupons or whatnot. The store does support coupons, which is nice. So especially if you watch the stream today, send us an email. It would be cool to see what you guys thought, if it worked out or not. But you know, as always, thanks for the support. Can't really do anything I want to do without you guys reading. But yeah, have a good night. Hopefully the next one we do, we'll be able to support a time zone for Europe, because I know a lot of people, when I looked at the difference in time, it was really bad. It's like 3 a.m. in Europe, I guess. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Keep reading, and hopefully we'll have something to show tomorrow when I get all that merch. Take a lot of pictures and put them online. All right.